Shutout win means we're a game away from 500. Sabres and Canadiens. Sabres and Panthers recap coming up here in the Locked On Sabres podcast.
Your Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody, and welcome into this Monday edition of the Locked On Sabres podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can watch the show on YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe there. You could also be on our Locked On Sabres text club by heading over to joinsubtext.com/Locked On Sabres. Put your phone number in there, hit the subscribe button, and have some fun with us as the Sabres are looking to get back to 500 against Montreal. Today's episode is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Sneaky Joe DiBiase here on a game day. We'll look a lot back on the win over Florida over the weekend. Got a couple of things defensively I want to point out through the first 5 games of the regular season. A little look ahead to the Montreal matchup as well. Speaking of FanDuel, hopefully you are in on our text club because our bet of the night going into Saturday, the lines were not up when we talked to you on Friday. Saturday, looking at the lines, I really liked the Josh Doan anytime goal bet, courtesy of our former co-host Jordan Hanskin actually was in on that. And that was plus 370. That cashed within 5 minutes of action. So if you were in on the Josh Doan bet with us, you cashed on that, and actually you could have cashed if you had 2+ goals because Josh Doan gets his first 2 goals as a Buffalo Sabre. We'll go through the win over Florida, all the things that we liked, and really was all positive. So a lot of good stuff to go through on their win, and a little look ahead to Montreal as well coming your way. I'm going to follow the count on Twitter at Locked On Sabres, know when the podcasts are up, and keep in tune with what's going on roster move-wise. Today, Sabres call up Noah Oslin and Josh Doan, and also Zach Metzum looks like he's going to play tonight. What's going on in net? I'll have that all coming up in a little bit, but we'll start with the win over the Florida Panthers, which gets the Sabres to 2-3 on the year. It was a great day to be in the arena, afternoon game. I was enjoying it with some friends, and you had a nice 1:00 game. The weather was pretty nice, and the crowd was good. Not going to be all the way full, but it was an announced crowd of 16,015. So you'll take that. And you had fighting, kinda. You had goals. You had really strong defense. You had saves. Just an overall really cool day to be in the arena. Odd day, too. The mascot madness theme was a little strange on execution. You got enough home games, you might as well try it, right? 41 home games. I'm not going to criticize Sabres for trying any theme night. They got enough games to try one in every single game if they want. So Mascot Madness, they basically just invited the New York Islanders mascot, the Carolina Hurricanes mascot, the Dallas Stars mascot. I'm sure just whatever NHL mascots that were willing to show up to this. And then, of course, Billy Buffalo and the Amherst Moose was there, Sabretooth. So the Bisons and Bandits mascots, cool, fine. I'm more excited, though, before we get to Sabres and Panthers, about the announcement today by the Buffalo Sabres. And this is honestly my favorite announcement of the season so far. And I think there are a lot of fans of my generation and even beyond that weren't sure. I mean, maybe not everybody was wondering this. I was certainly wondering this, and I actually had skepticism that the Sabres would do anything to celebrate the 20-year anniversary of what I believe is the most, right there with 1974-75, the most beloved Sabre team in the organization's history. And that is the 05-06 Sabres. And I didn't see or hear any word about that being paid attention to, that it is the 20th anniversary of that team until today. And when I saw the announcement that the Sabres were going to have a reunion night for the Buffalo Sabres, I mean, I almost got emotional about it because, again, I didn't know that it was going to happen. And that is my favorite sports team of my entire life to this point. It is for many. And just to see a night, reunion night, 05-06 reunion night is going to be January 15th, 2026, which is a home game against Montreal. I don't know who's going to come back. The announcement is that they're going to have a giveaway before the game, and there'll be some sort of mini ceremony before the game. I don't think they're doing anything crazy. Other than I think really just the best part is invite the guys back from that team and give the fans, and especially those around my age, the opportunity to celebrate that team and to show their appreciation to that team. Can just imagine in my head all those guys standing at center ice before the game, getting a standing ovation one by one. Again, depending on who's there. I think Ryan Miller has already said that he will be there, and that would be expected. It is kind of fun to go through the roster and figure out, what are the chances that Jay McKee is going to be there? 100. I think Jay McKee is almost undoubtedly going to be there unless his junior team's got something that night. I guess that could throw a wrinkle in it. Jason Pominville. Fully expect Pominville would be there. Or Thomas Vanek. Same thing. JP Dumont, Tim Connolly. Some of these guys that have been hanging around once in a while have come back to things. Derek Roy came back for Miller Night. And then maybe some other guys where it's I wonder, will Danny Briere and Mike Greer be there because they're current GMs in the league? And while they've come back for some things, maybe they'll be traveling with their team. I don't know if they'll come back. Will Chris Drury be there? That's the one where I am very skeptical that he will be because he's basically had nothing to say or nothing to do with the Sabres since he left on July 1st of 2007. Marty will be there. Will Jochen Hash and Alesh Kodalik be there? What about those European guys? Obviously, from my standpoint, will Max Afinogenov be there? And he's a cult hero for Sabre fans. So many grew up with him as their favorite player. Will he be there? Because I don't know the last time he's even been to North America. It honestly might be since the last time he played for the Atlanta Thrashers 15 years ago. So they can't just automatically have everybody back. I'm sure they'll try. Henrik Tallinder. Again, those European guys, Tony Ludman, are good questions. We'll see. I hope they get a really good attendance. It'd be awesome if they could get the whole team there. Probably unfair to expect everybody from that team will be back, but I hope they get a really solid turnout and give fans an opportunity to give that team a standing ovation. That'll be an awesome night. I don't even care what the Sabres record is at that point. Obviously, it'd be better if they're good. I mean, fill the barn up for that night, regardless of, again, what their record is. But hopefully it's good by then. So January 15th, awesome. That's automatically the best theme night of the year. Not even close. That is number one by far. They're not retiring anybody's number this year. So that's the night. That's the night of the year. Getting ready for January 15th. All right, enough on that. Back to Saturday. That was a great night to be in the arena. Great day to be in the arena. The Sabres just handled business against the Florida Panthers on all levels. Offensively, they showed up on the power play especially. They were dominant on the penalty kill. I mean, they had to be 0 for 7 Florida on the power play. Sabres taking 7 penalties. Don't love that. I thought a couple of them were questionable, so maybe it's not all their fault. A little of it was the officiating, but to spend 14 minutes shorthanded and not give up a goal. Great job by Alex Lyon. Beck Malenstein threw himself into front of a bunch of shots that I saw. Shot blocking all around was really good. They were really, I think, pretty solid at preventing Florida from getting the best chances. And Lyon, of course, stood tall as well. So that was a key component to go 2 for, what it ended up being, 2 for 4 on the power play. Both Josh Doan goals was really solid. And those are both kind of similar looking goals. He's going to the net, and maybe they're not the most skilled goals. One goes off, it looked like his arm. The other goes off his skate. But Doan is going to the quality areas, and he's earning those goals even beyond those plays. Josh Doan has become a story here. We'll spend a little bit more time picking apart his game this week, but he's become a real story so far, looking like a legitimate top 6 winger. He's playing on the second line right now, and I got no reason to take him off it. He should keep running with it. And to have 5 points in his last 2 games, Josh Doan is playing excellent so far. He was the number 2 star of the game. I mean, the first power play goal, Well, the second power play goal, I should say. And this is the goal right after Brad Marchand attacks Rasmus Dahlin, which, okay, Dahlin did cross-check him, but I had a big problem with that sequence because while, yes, Dahlin cross-checked Marchand, no call on the play. Does this league want to protect their stars? They say they do. They never put it to action because Dahlin, the Sabres' best player and their captain, has a guy trip him to the ice, jump on his back, dropping the gloves, punching him in the ribs, and the Sabres get, because Tage Thompson jumps in and defends him like he should, a 2-minute power play. Then he takes the helmet to the box, rips it apart. He got fined for that. But to only get a 2-minute power play for your star player getting attacked, I think is part of why the league has the reputation that it does for failing to protect their star players. But Sabres scored on it. So they made it count. And the goal that they scored on it, I mean, there were so many nice plays that I loved out of this game, but the 2 goals in the second period, both were awesome. I mean, there are these little plays all along the way that I just love looking for on these goals. I mean, the power play goal is, no surprise here, a Zach Benson play. He gets the secondary assist on it. But it's a Zach Benson play because the puck goes in behind the net. Benson's got an open net, and he takes a whack at it. Anton Lundell came back to stop that. So then the puck goes in behind the net up high. Benson gloves it down and draws in Forsling to come after him. Benson draws the attention. I freeze-framed it at the 8:51 mark of the second period, if you kind of want to follow this play along with me. At the 8:51 mark of the second period, the Sabres are on the power play, and Zach Benson has 3 Florida Panthers. There's only 4 on the ice. He's got 3 of them chasing him behind the net, and that's right where you want him. So and then it's Ekblad, Forsling, and Lundell. He gets the pass through Forsling to Zucker, and then at that point, it's a 4-on-1. It is Doan in front of the net, Zucker at the faceoff circle, Jack Quinn, one-timer option at the point, and Dahlin on the left flank against Sam Reinhart, who's in the center all by himself. And Reinhart's probably thinking like, where did all my teammates go? They were all chasing Zach Benson behind the net. So obviously a very poor play there by the Panthers in general. But Benson makes that play, wins a battle behind the net. And then good vision by Zucker, by the way, because Zucker could have done a couple things. Zucker could have shot the puck, which I think would have been a poor play for that spot. He could have threw it to Jack Quinn for a one-timer from the point, which I tend to think isn't the most high percentage play. Or he's got Josh Doan all alone backdoor. And Doan can either just what he did. He turned his skate to deflect it in. He could have shot it in. That was the most quality play. So credit to Zucker for having 3 different options that are all good scoring chances, but one is definitively better than the other 2. And Zucker made the right decision, and that made it 2-0. And then the third goal, if you haven't watched the third goal back on replay, just go watch it, and it's a perfect play all the way around. All 5 Sabres on the ice. Like all 5 of them contributing in the right way. Timmins up to McLeod at center ice, McLeod to Tuck. Tuck makes 2 really nice plays because he cuts in and gets the puck to Krebs, goes down the wall or down center kind of by the faceoff circle. And then he's got the vision to know that Owen Power, good job by Power, he didn't just hang at the point. He charged the net from his defense position, and Tuck had the foresight to know he was going there, and he puts the pass right over in it. Just a great skilled goal, team goal all the way around. And you got 2 really nice plays to put the game away. I mean, it's still 25 minutes left of gameplay, and we've seen the Sabres blow 3-goal leads with 25 minutes of hockey. But this year, maybe that's not the case, and those 2 goals really cemented it. Both great goals by the Sabres. So again, after that, they did put it away. I want to get to that when we come back. After that Sabres 3-0 win, you start to look at these 5 games and think, one thing has looked pretty constant, and it's that this defensive prowess that the Sabres wanted to be better at might actually be happening. I want to explore that a little bit more when we come back before we take a look at Sabres and Canadians. That's coming up here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Today's episode of the Locked On Sabres podcast is presented by Monarch Money. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it is easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why you got to use Monarch. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. It can help you organize your accounts, track your spending, get a better handle on investments without ever having to touch a spreadsheet. Monarch's visual dashboards and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where your money's going or how to make it work harder for you. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com. Code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Sneaky Joe DiBiase back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast, 2-3 on the season. And all right, you're working your way back to 500 here. You double bogeyed the first 3 holes and you went birdie par on your last 2. And you're fighting your way back to bogey golf. That's where we're at. So good. Divisional games coming up. Montreal. We'll talk about it coming up in a moment. The one thing, though, that even though they're below 500, right? Like they're technically tied for last in the conference. I mean, Tampa's got 4 points. Ottawa's got 4 points. The Islanders have 4 points. The Sabres have 4 points. By the way, Sabres have 4 points in 5 games. Tampa and Ottawa 4 points in 6 games. So as bad a start as it can look like after the first 3 games, Ottawa and Tampa are on worse starts to begin the year. And I mean, how quickly a win can make it look better. I mean, Sabres win tonight and you're sitting at 6 points and you're right there with Florida and Boston and you're 1 point back at Toronto, 2 points back at Montreal. Like it could flip very easily because we're this early on, obviously. The thing that's been constant is the defense. The Sabres, I think, are looking better when it comes to limiting opponent opportunities, getting the puck out of their own end. And I would say even just hanging onto the puck a little bit more in the offensive zone, which is a very big part, I think, of not allowing goals, is if you have the puck more often, you're not going to have to defend as often, and you're not going to allow as many goals. And obviously, Alex Lyon, not going to do a lot on him in this segment because I want to kind of focus in more on the defense, but he's backstopped this thing, and he has been awesome through 5 games. He probably is playing against Montreal. I would keep riding him until this back-to-back against Toronto. I don't want to get him injured or fry him this early in the season. And he's never been a starter that's played this much where he's playing 6 out of every 7 games, but I'm ready to ask him to do that until it stops working. But I would never have him play a back-to-back. So looks like he'll play against Montreal and he's been great. The blue line though is showing up. Dahlin, superstar. Dahlin's been incredible. Couple of guys that I think have had pretty good starts to the year. Owen Powers had a pretty good start to the year. The first game and a half he played, maybe not so much because I think he was coming back from that injury, but the last 5 periods he's played, I've been really impressed. He looks like that player that can control the game when he's out there. Most often, he looks like that. The guy I really want to focus in on for a moment here, though, that I would have bought out in the offseason, and I hope I'm going to eat crow on him. I still kind of think I'm not going to, because at best, I think you're asking him to be a third-pair role-playing defenseman, but you got to give it to him over the course of the first 5 games. I think Mattias Samuelsson's been really good. I think Samuelsson has been preventing chances. I think he's looked as physical as ever. Against Florida, there's the sequence where I think he actually ends up taking a penalty on the play. Yeah, he did. Roughing on Luutsarainen. But we're nearing the end of the second period, and I think it's Luutsarainen's going hard to the net. Luutsarainen took a penalty too, so it was matching. He goes hard to the net, and Samuelsson, I think in the past, he probably would have just grabbed him and tried to hold him out of the way or whatever. This time, he blasts him into the net, throws him into the net, and then loved seeing this because Samuelsson has never really come off as this aggressive defenseman. In fact, it's been a detriment of his. After he throws him into the net, there's the back camera angle that shows he grabs Luutsarainen on the back of the jersey and drags him out of the net and of the crease. And that's the stuff that people are looking for from Samuelsson, because he is 6'5", 6'6", big-bodied defenseman that isn't that offensive. You got to be willing to do that stuff. You got to have that in your blood. And that's a moment there from Samuelsson. I can't remember many of those. Paul Hamilton called it the most physical game that he's ever played as a Buffalo Sabre, and I'm inclined to agree. He's throwing his body around. It's possible, by the way, that maybe this game isn't the example for this, but as he becomes a third pair defenseman with Connor Timmins, who I've also liked so far this year, that Samuelsson is willing to use his body more, is willing to be more physical because they're controlling his minutes more. The chance of him staying healthy, wear and tear, isn't as high as when he was playing 22, 23 minutes a night as a number one pair defenseman like he was a couple of years ago. If you start whittling his minutes down to 16 minutes a night, give or take, fresher player, less wear and tear, maybe he's willing to throw his body around a little bit more. Again, this game wasn't necessarily the case because with Jacob Bryson going out so early on, all 5 Sabre defensemen that were left were just kind of rotating in. They all really played evenly. And Samuelsson played 22 minutes and 1 second. That actually ended up being the fewest of any of those defensemen other than Bryson, who obviously went out after one shift. So I've liked Samuelsson a lot. And I mentioned that I've liked Timmins so far this year. At the very least, Timmins looks like such a better player to me than Connor Clifton did. I mean, he's bigger. He's got a big shot. You could see it. I mean, he almost scored on one that he got set up from Tage in the Florida game. I think that Samuelsson-Timmins pairing have the real makings of a solid third pair. And the last time the Sabres had a real solid third pair, I mean, maybe we got to go back to 05-06, maybe, and go back to, what would the third pair of that team have been? Because Ludman-Tallinder, I think, was usually the second pair. Numanen, maybe, whoever. McKee. They had 6 good defensemen back then. So anyways, I've liked the blue line a lot, and that's without Michael Kesselring. Keep that in mind. The blue lines looked good, and the biggest acquisition of their offseason, who is a defenseman, has not seen the ice yet. I think the potential there is really high. And as you saw, I think they've got some depth. You know, like if Byram's got to miss a little bit of time if at some point during the year, or if Timmins does, or whoever, like I think they've got a little bit of depth. I think Dahlin and Power, the guys, are going to be a lot tougher to replace, but here's Kesselring missing time, and Bryson goes out, and you're down to 5 defensemen, and the Sabres are they're good. They're going to shut them out. The shutout against the defending Stanley Cup champions. So keep the defense going, and I think you could have a real solid team. Stopping 7 power plays in a row is probably unrealistic, but that's a big part of it too. When we come back, a look at Sabres and Canadiens, my bet of the night after hitting on that Josh Doan anytime goal bet. Sabres are underdogs tonight. How big of an underdog? What's the lineup look like? Some changes since Saturday coming up here in the Locked On Sabres podcast. Sabres and Canadiens tonight. Sabres are an underdog. You can check out the odds over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Stay tuned. I got a goal bet that I like for tonight, and it's good odds. So that's coming up, and that'll be courtesy of FanDuel Sportsbook. It's not just hockey, which is rolling right now, but it is football season, college football, and the NFL is here. And FanDuel has an offer that you do not want to miss. Right now, new customers, you could bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. So maybe in a couple of minutes, you like the bet that I like. You throw $5 on it, you win it. If you're new, you get $300 in bonus bets. That's right. Pick a bet, $5. If it hits, $300 in bonus bets that you can use all across the app on anything. Futures, team to win their division in football or hockey, team to win the championship. Anytime goal bets, passing over-unders in football. So many different things, so many different options you could look at. Basketball's even starting tomorrow. So a lot of stuff. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com, download the FanDuel app today, and get started. Sneaky Joe DiBiase back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. The Sabres and the Canadiens tonight. And so far, the team I would say that I've been, I don't want to say most wrong on, but I predicted Ottawa to win the division this year, and so far it does not look like it's going to happen. It's early, but they do not look like they're impressive. In fact, the Ottawa Senators have the worst goal differential in the Eastern Conference at -10. The Sabres obviously did 4 of that. They won by 4. The team that's looked good and like a team that I think could win the division. Detroit's won 5 in a row. We'll see about them. I think they're a little bit fluky. Montreal's looked really good to me. And they're one win behind Detroit, but 4-2 on the year. Big win over Toronto the other night. They look fast. They look skilled. They have the goaltending. Like, I think the Canadiens are Noah Dobson being added, I think is a big add for them. It's all kind of coming together, I think, for Montreal. And at this point, again, it's early, but I'd be surprised if they're not at least a wild card team. So this is a test. This is a big test for the Buffalo Sabres tonight on the road against a good Canadiens team. I think they're a good Canadiens team, and they are favored as such. -154 at FanDuel Sportsbook for Montreal on the money line. The Sabres are +128 to win the game. The over-under is at 6.5. The over at +108. The under at -132. The lines for tonight's game. Sabres lineup notes. Alex Lyon expected in goal. Thought maybe Colton Ellis would get his first start. He is not. I kind of feel like that first game against Toronto is earmarked for him, but we'll see. Kulich's going to stay with Thompson and Benson, and I'll get to that in a minute. I like Kulich tonight. McLeod, Doan, and Tuck. Loved that line the other night. Would absolutely keep that together. The bottom 6 is where I've got a little bit of a complaint because Noah Ostlund is up, and so is Josh Doan because Jordan Greenway's not ready yet to return. And Beck Malenstein out tonight for personal matter. He's having a baby, so maternity leave for him. And I think Mason Geertsen is coming out of the lineup. So in goes Dunn. In goes Ostlund. Ostlund, I would put on the third line. What I don't like is what they've currently got where Ostlund is on the fourth line. He's playing with Tyson Kozak and Josh Doan. That is a checking line. That is a defensive line where you're going to start in your own end. That's a line that's going to get pinned in their own end, and you're basically just looking to survive and not get your own team beat. Ostlund's a scorer, a real playmaker. Actually, he's an offensive guy, and he's a center. What I would have liked to see is give him a shot to play with a little bit of skill. You got a line there with Jason Zucker and Jack Quinn on it. That's a little bit of shooting on both sides that would be perfect for Ostlund, who is a pass-first type of player. 4 assists in 4 games so far for the Amerks down in the American League. Instead, Peyton Krebs on that line. And again, that's where I don't really get it, because Krebs with Dunn and Kozak, like, that's the right type of line. That's a defensive line that you're going to start in your own end, and everybody's good in their own end, responsible. Whereas Krebs playing with 2 guys that are going to give you some offense. I mean, I don't hate Krebs. You know, like, he made a nice pass on the power goal against Florida to give it to Tuck, who was charging in. But Ostlund has a higher ceiling. He's a scorer. He's an offensive type of prospect. And I think this was an easy opportunity to get him out there with a little bit of skill. Instead, like, now I'm not excited really even to see him because I don't expect anything. You're playing with 2 teammates that I don't think are going to give him any opportunity to show what he can do. Instead, I think you're just kind of getting by. And at that point, why didn't you just call up somebody else? I mean, I guess Dunn and Kozak are already up here. Kozak's going to go through waivers anyway. Like, Geertsen's already up here. I guess who else were you going to play? I would like to see him play on the third line, though. On the blue line, by the way, little tricky. Jacob Bryson is out. And it looks like Zach Metza might make his NHL debut. Now, he is a smaller defenseman, 5'9". He has never played in the National Hockey League. He has been in the AHL for a couple of seasons. Longtime college player at Quinnipiac, so he's 27 years old. This is not a young player. He looks like he's going in for Bryson. And we didn't get pairings at practice. I think it was an optional skate this morning. So I'm taking kind of a guess at what it's going to look like, but I think you're going to see Byram with Dahlin. They might keep Samuelsson and Timmins together and see if Power can kind of drag Metza through the game if he needs to. And that might be the pairing that we see between Zach Metza and Owen Power. That's just a guess. We'll see. It's also possible he doesn't play and they do something else. Ryan Johnson or whatever. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see what we get on the blue line. That's a little bit in question. And again, we think Lyon's going to be in goal. All right, time for my bet of the night. I'm going Jiri Kulich anytime goal scorer. And he's the player that I am locked in on tonight because he has been struggling to start the year. Some numbers on Kulich. He has played 81 minutes and 7 seconds so far this season. And in those 81 minutes, he has 1 goal, no assists, and the goal was an empty netter. The scoring chances he's created, not there. The shot attempts, not there. He wasn't really skating for the first couple of games. I thought he looked a little bit better in the Florida game. I thought he was using his speed more. That's what Lindy Ruff had been asking for from him. Couple of shots that got through. I got him to score, not even particularly because I've liked his game this year, but more the head coach is challenging him while also putting him in opportunity to succeed with Tage Thompson and Zach Benson. So because of that, and the fact that his odds are a little bit further down the list at plus 460. Remember, Doan the other night to score was plus 360, and we won that one. Tonight, plus 460 for Kulich to score. Listen, if I could get a team's number one center at plus 460, I honestly don't even care who it is. If you told me Tyson Kozak was going to be their top center tonight, playing with Tage Thompson and Zach Benson at plus 460, I probably would take it. Give me a team's number one center at those odds. I'm going to take it. And he's got a great playmaker in Benson on his left. He's got a great offensive player in Tage on his right. He is a shooter. He has lower odds. Let me just all the players in this game that he has lower odds than: Olivier Kapanen, Josh Anderson, Alex Newhook, Jack Quinn, Ryan McLeod, Ivan Demidov, Zach Benson, Josh Doan, Zach Bolduc, Jason Zucker, Brandon Gallagher, Yurov Slavkovsky, Alex Tuck, Nick Suzuki, Tage Thompson, Cole Caulfield. That list is too long. He should be higher than Kapanen, Anderson, Newhook, Quinn, McLeod, even maybe. And maybe I would about Benson too. I'd take him over Benson to score a goal in this game. I think it's far too low. If I were setting the odds, I'd have him closer to around like plus 300. And you get him at 460. That's gonna be my bet of the night. And we're 3-1-1 on the year. And if you go by units, because obviously Doan is more than just a 50-50 bet, we're plus 4.6 units on the season. So that's going well. And we'll look to double that with a Kulich goal tonight. One Kulich goal. That's all we need. That's going to do it for us today here on the Locked On Sabres podcast, the Sabres and the Habs. 7:30, by the way, tonight. So we'll talk about the game tomorrow, how it went. Hopefully the Sabres are back to 500. If you want more hockey from around the NHL, be sure to check out Locked On NHL Game Night. They're available also on YouTube, like we are, or available wherever you get your podcast. So check out Locked On NHL Game Night. We will talk to you next tomorrow here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Enjoy your Monday night hockey, and we'll talk to you on Tuesday on the Locked On Sabres podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.